Now, let's not muck around, because it's game on in federal politics right now. The latest Newspoll has shown that Australians are flirting with the idea of Anthony Albanese becoming the Prime Minister of Australia, of Christina Keneally becoming the Home Affairs Minister of this country. Let's not muck around. These are the numbers. Now, since the last election, in two-party preferred, the government is down 3.5. The Labor Party is up 3.5 to 52-48. Now, as I've said in previous times, there are false highs, false lows, and of course, after a month of media coverage that we've had, why wouldn't we get a result like this? But as the beautiful brain that is, Peter Credlin, has said, these things can often be a lag, so don't think this is as bad as it can get. It can get worse. Now, I don't believe that there is the mood in the country right now for some sort of giant revolution and a want to change the government for Anthony Albanese. But remember, oppositions don't get elected, governments lose power. That's what happens every single time. The primary vote, this is what has changed again since the election. The LNP is down 2%, dead level, with the Labor Party that is up 6% on the election in 2019. Think about all of the things that we dodged in that bullet, and exactly as I told you last time, no win is forever, no loss is forever. So it's game on. The Greens are not moving, One Nation is not moving, but the key difference here is the other vote. Now, the other vote has sat roughly around 10%, but has actually got up to 11 and a bit % at the last election. Now, that's Clive Palmer, it's lots of other things. Preference discipline from One Nation and the other minor parties are what saved the LNP at the 2019 election. If there is no minor party vote on the right, the Greens and Labor, they get together and you get a revolution. Think about what's happening in the United States, think what's happening all over the world, and there is a serious fork in the road that is in front of us right now. Now, as I have said, the Queensland election showed, the Western Australian election showed, that the true health of the government is how we feel about its leader. McGowan, remember, was in the 80s, and a 2-to-1 margin is what was taking place in the Queensland election. The Prime Minister is off a little, but still basically 2-to-1 in front of Anthony Albanese. So think very seriously about this. It's game on now. No more basking in 2019 and the quiet Australian victory. It is game on. Imagine Anthony Albanese as your Prime Minister. Imagine Jim Chalmers as your Treasurer. Imagine Penny Wong on Foreign Affairs, and imagine Christina Keneally in charge of the Australian Federal Police. That's the game. Now, here is what is at risk with a change of government. While, yes, state leaders are able to pretend that they have kept you safe, the actual people that have saved this country is the federal government, because it locked the borders. More on that in a second. But because of the economic management, the extra welfare spending, JobKeeper, this is what has happened in Australia in the past 3 months. Australia's economy grew by 3.1%. This is what is on the line. This is compared to Japan, which was 3%, Canada 2.3%, China 2.6%, Australia 3.1%. The United Kingdom 1%, the United States 1%, Germany 0.3%. This doesn't happen by accident. It happens by management. Do you trust Anthony Albanese, each way Albo, to take his lead from Twitter and the mob to take care of the economy? Do you trust the people who wanted to tax your retirement with the future of the country? That's the game we're in now. Now, an election may be 18 months away, but this is the time when people start to flirt with the other, and the other is bad news for Australia. We can't take this for granted, that put simply, people will just wake up one day for a world of common sense. Because there is going to be a very active media play, which is going to happen as they saw in the United States, which is they're going to develop, as they have before, Abbott derangement syndrome that became Trump derangement syndrome. They're going to go for ScoMo derangement syndrome, where every single thing is a mistake, every single day is an embarrassment. And then slowly but surely people turn around and say the best way to get rid of the noise is to change the government. Remember, there are bad actors that are going to make the most of that noise. China, anyone? 1.2 million Australians of Chinese descent about 80% of them every single day read news that comes from China. Not to mention the issues that are happening in every household around the country right now, and suburban women will decide the upcoming election. Preference discipline in minor parties will decide the next election. Do you want each way Albo to end up becoming the leader of the country? The loud reaction that you have to the TV right now is one that you need to maintain, because believe me, the same people who were embarrassed by the 2019 result will try to get a different one in 2022, and the result for the country will be just as devastating. And the truth is that one of the things that will make or break the government in the coming few months is going to be the vaccine rollout. Because again, while the state premiers want to pretend that the way that they have kept our country safe is to stop people coming in from Victoria, the truth is that the COVID threat is outside of our own borders. People need to be reminded that it is the Australian government that took the hard decision and are the ones that have actually taken the hard yards, that have done the things on the economy to make sure that now that things are returning to normal, and as more people get that vaccine, we get faster to normal, that we can get back up on our feet and continue to beat the world. It can't be risked. In terms of that vaccine rollout, you need to know this. There are 120 million cases of COVID around the world. In Australia, we've just had 29,000, and 99% have not resulted in deaths. But if you want to give praise to Mark McGowan, if you want to give praise to Michael Gunner, if you want to give praise to Gladys Berejiklian, the Marshmallow or the Queen in Queensland, they are playing tiddlywinks. Because the main game is how Australia is handling it compared to the rest of the world. 2.6 million people have died of coronavirus around the world. The numbers are only inflated to 900 in this country because of the disgrace that was the Victorian government and hotel quarantine. But think about what is always on the line. Think about who is truly the one who is keeping you safe. Which is why it is so important that the vaccine rollout happens. We learned today that everyone over the age of 50 will be able to have access to the vaccine by as early as June. This must happen. We can't play this game where 4 million people will have it by April. Oh, hang on, we might move it. Oh, we hope everyone can get it by October. No, this is the main game in the country right now. Here's the Health Minister talking about this plan for everyone over 50 who wants it to get the jab by June.
We know that global competition is intense on a scale we've never before seen with regards to vaccines, and despite that, we've been able to bring numbers into Australia and begin that program, to see that ramp up, to see that growth, to see those lives being protected.
But this is an area of delivery where the states can undermine the federal response. And remember, the political objective of a newly cashed up and freshly re-elected Western Australia, a newly cashed up and freshly re-elected Labor Party in Queensland, is to pretend that it's all the federal government's fault, which means the federal Labor Party is able to run lines like this today, despite the fact that whether it is true or not, people assume that it's only the federal government responsible for the rollout, but it's the states that are so heavily involved. But if it is going to be the feds that are going to end up holding the bag on this, then it is up to the feds to make this happen.
It wasn't the Labor Party that promised that 4 million would be vaccinated by the end of this month. It wasn't us that said everyone would be vaccinated by October. Both of those announcements and promises from the Prime Minister are looking very dicey right now.
You want that bloke in charge of our economy? That's the consequences of a shift in Australian politics right now.